3 insane questions about the Trinity that haunt believers forever. You won't believe the answers. The moment Clara whispered the phrase drenched in shadows and suspicion, her heart raced. She was at the town's old chapel, where folklore twisted through the air like the dust motes swirling in the shafts of light. Legends spoke of the Trinity, but not the ones you learned in Sunday school. No, these stories were filled with wild claims, eerie sightings, and chilling encounters that made the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Could God really be 3 in 1? Did the relationships within the Trinity hold dark secrets? And what if believing meant something sinister? As she gazed at the stained glass, the figures seemed to twist and warp, as though alive, watching her with their empty eyes. Was that a smirk on Jesus' face? Clara shook her head, trying to dismiss the creeping doubt. It was just her imagination, or was it? But with every tick of the old clock, the questions pounded in her mind, echoing through the vast emptiness of the chapel. Why did people often see shadows dancing across the walls when discussing the Trinity? Why did some say they felt different added weight, like an unexpected touch on their shoulders when invoking the names of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit? A sudden creak shattered the stillness, and Clara's heart thumped louder. It wasn't just her. Others felt it too. Whispers surfaced in dimly lit corners, unsettling murmurs about souls lost and spirits searching, entwined with the Trinity's enigma. Those same people, shaken to their cores, would later confess inexplicable fears or dreadful premonitions after hearing certain prayers. Clara's chest tightened as she listened, a mix of dread and curiosity spiraling inside her. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Clara felt drawn deeper into the mystery. They say that sometimes in the quiet of night, if you listen closely, you could hear the sacred names whispered like secrets against the wind. What if there was more to the Trinity than mere belief? A danger lurking within the intricate web spun by faith and reason. A tension flickered in her mind, her thoughts racing faster. What did it all mean? What knowledge had been hidden from her all this time? She took a step back, remembering the stories of others who'd unraveled their understanding, only to disappear into obsession, lost to the questions that haunted believers like shadows at dusk. Clara's breath caught as she moved toward the door. What was waiting for her outside? As dread pooled in her stomach, she couldn't shake the haunting realization that perhaps the truth behind the Trinity was not just meant to enlighten but also to ensnare. Clara pushed the chapel door open, a gust of wind greeting her like an unexpected embrace. The night was thick with fog, wrapping the world in a shroud of uncertainty. Each step felt heavy, as if the very earth beneath her was pulling her back, urging her to stay within the confines of the chapel. As she crossed the threshold, the moonlight revealed strange shapes moving in the corners of her vision. Were they real or merely tricks of her mind? With her heart racing, she ventured down the cobbled path that wound through the overgrown graveyard. Shadows danced among the headstones, flickering like a candle's flame caught in a gale. Unsettled, she glanced sideways, half expecting to see figures emerge from the mist. Her instincts screamed for her to turn back, but a haunting curiosity propelled her forward. That's when she heard a low, rhythmic hum, echoing through the dead air. It wasn't just the wind, it felt almost like a chant. Clara halted in her tracks, dread curling in her gut. The sound seemed familiar, whispering of ancient secrets, urging her to listen closely. She leaned in, trying to decipher the words, but they slipped away like grains of sand. Then she remembered the stories of the elders of chants invoking the holy names during the darkest hours. Those who spoke them often reported feelings of being watched, of ancient eyes piercing into their souls. Clara's breath quickened. Was the chant a summoning? What did it seek to uncover? The chilling thought gripped her. Maybe those who spoke of shadows weren't just paranoid. Maybe they had seen something, felt something, that lurked beneath the veneer of faith. Just then, a flash of movement caught her eye. She turned, and her skin prickled with goosebumps. There, just beyond the tombstones, stood a figure draped in white. Pale and insubstantial, it glided closer, its face obscured by a hood. "Who are you?" Clara called out, her voice trembling. The figure raised its head, and for a moment, time froze. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, deep and endless. Clara felt an urge to turn and run, but something held her rooted in place. Was it fear or fascination? "I seek the truth," the figure rasped, its voice echoing like the chime of a broken bell. "Beyond belief lies revelation, but the shadows will not let you pass without sacrifice." Her pulse thundered in her ears, as the memories of those who vanished in pursuit of forbidden knowledge flickered through her mind. Sacrifice? What did it mean? What must I give? She managed to whisper, the fog of curiosity thickening around her. "Your understanding," the figure replied. "To grasp that which is hidden, you must embrace the shadows that haunt you." Clara shivered, torn between the urge to flee and the desire to uncover more. The figure drifted closer, its shimmering form becoming clearer, a presence that felt both terrifying and alluring. As the words settled heavily in her heart, a realization washed over her. The chapel wasn't just a place of worship, it was a portal, a rift where mysteries collided, begging to be unraveled, or worse, lost forever. Clara's mind raced, grappling with her next steps. What happened if she stepped deeper into this unknown? With the figure beckoning, Clara could only wonder about the unseen forces at play. Was she destined to uncover the truth of the Trinity, or would she plunge into the abyss from which few returned? The air crackled with tension as she took a step forward. Would she dare to face the shadows calling her name? The figure's gaze bore into her, and as she hesitated, the fog thickened. What awaited her at the other side? What choices were there in a reality steeped in deception? Clara's heart raced, the ultimate confrontation loomed just beyond her vision, whispering the promise of revelation or ruin. Clara's heart hammered as she stepped closer to the figure, a silent scream echoing in her mind. The cool, damp fog wrapped itself around her like a vice, but she stood her ground, compelled by a force she couldn't name. Each heartbeat seemed to echo louder than the last, punctuating the silence that stretched between them. "What do you mean by sacrifice?" She pressed, her voice barely a whisper. Her throat felt dry, constricted with dread. The figure sighed, a sound that resonated with the lament of distant spirits, carrying with it the weight of untold stories. "Understanding often demands the letting go of simplicity," it said, its voice swirling through the fog. "It requires you to embrace the chaos, your fears, your regrets, the truths you've buried." Clara's mind whirled. Buried truths? She thought of the secrets she kept, the wounds she hid even from herself. Could facing them unlock this mystery? The promise of revelation shimmered before her. But at what cost? "What if I refuse?" she asked, defiance momentarily shoving aside her fear. The figure's eyes flared like dying embers, filling the space with an eerie glow. "Refusal invites shadows that linger, hunger that gnaws at the heart. They always collect debts," it warned. "Choose wisely, Clara." Clara turned her gaze to the graves surrounding her, each headstone a reminder of lost souls lost to their shadows, perhaps. She felt the pull of their stories, their unfinished business. Would she be another name etched into the stone, just another whisper carried away into the night? "I can't. I want tea," she cried, but her voice faltered against the weight of the figure's gaze. "Then you remain a prisoner of the past," it whispered, its voice a mournful echo that reverberated through the cemetery. "Your understanding is shackled until you confront your shadows." An icy chill enveloped Clara, and she staggered back, shaking her head. "No, I can't do this." The figure's form flickered like a dying light bulb, and for a fleeting second, it felt almost human. "To move forward, you must confront the fears that bind you. Remember, Clara, the greatest shadows are those that dwell within. Each word hit her like a jolt of electricity. Memories surged, her mother's funeral, the arguments that had torn her family apart. The guilt of running away when things got tough. Why hadn't she faced them? The lure of truth felt intoxicating, yet terrifying. In that moment of clarity, the fog around her seemed to thicken, coiling like serpents at her feet, tugging at her with a cold insistence. The figure's hollow gaze compelled her to take another step, the air crackling with anticipation. Something deep within her stirred. Was it courage or madness? Face them, Clara, a voice whispered in her mind, a long-buried promise from deep inside. You can only find freedom on the other side of fear. Holding her breath, she drew upon whatever strength she had left and stepped forward, crossing an invisible threshold. The figure beckoned still, its expression softening, or was it hardening? She wasn't sure. All she knew was that the very air around her pulsed with a dark energy, and then, as if an unseen hand had lifted a veil, shadows coalesced into visions around her, images of her past unfolding in vivid detail. Clara gasped as she found herself standing before a dark reflection of the chapel, one that showed her deepest regrets, her most painful moments. The atmosphere vibrated with tension as Clara faced her own reflection, wondering if she could truly confront what lay beneath those haunting images. Would she find clarity, or would the shadows consume her? The answer lurked in the abyss of her own despair, a truth she was terrified to face. What awaited her as she bravely stared into the darkness? And would the revelations leave her free, or would they chain her to the past forever? The darkness roiled around Clara, swallowing her whole. Each breath she took felt like an anchor, pulling her deeper into this realm of regret and sorrow. The shadows curled around her, whispering secrets, begging for her attention. She closed her eyes tightly, willing the familiar faces of her past to fade, a shadow from her childhood, her mother's smile, her father's disappointment. But they lingered, piercing her heart with a preciseness that felt intentional. Look closer, Clara, the figure murmured, its voice a gentle nudge against the cacophony of her emotions. This is your truth, your burden. Terror twisted in her gut as she opened her eyes. The chapel loomed larger now, fragmented echoes of laughter and cries bustling in the air like echoes from the grave. She saw herself standing there at the back of the room, arms crossed, eyes raging with resentment during her mother's funeral. The fresh pain of that moment surged up, an all-consuming tide. How could she have walked away when everything was falling apart? You abandoned them, the figure continued, its tone softer this time, almost compassionate. And now, you must face that wound. How did it feel to leave when they needed you most? Clara staggered as reality swooped in, her heart thumping erratically against her ribs. I didn't leave them. I left myself, she gasped, the words spilling out like spilled ink. Suddenly, the scenes around her morphed. She was alone in her childhood bedroom, the wallpaper peeling, light flickering through the dirty window. The haunting stares of her toys seemed to accuse her. You let fear win. You let it lock you away. No. I was just trying to protect myself. She shouted, but her voice trembled. The figure stepped closer, the distance between them shrinking like the gaping chasm within her. Protect yourself? Or imprison yourself? It asked coolly. The greatest chains are often self-imposed. How much longer will you keep running? The air felt electric. Her hands trembled as she fought against the reality of those words. What if she was denying herself too? What if confronting her past and those mistakes didn't crush her but liberated her? The idea was both exhilarating and frightening. A flutter of hope dared to pierce through the darkness. What do I have to do? She whispered, desperation quirking at the edges of her voice. The figure's eyes glimmered like stars, revealing hints of compassion and understanding. To seek forgiveness not from them, but from yourself, it answered with a steady calm that soothed her racing heart. It is your own reflection that you must confront. The scene around her brightened slightly, and suddenly, she was standing outside the chapel again. A light breeze ruffled her hair, but it felt different this time, as if it was urging her forward instead of dragging her back. The door loomed large in front of her, inviting yet foreboding. Could she step inside and face the raw truths waiting for her? A deep breath surged in her chest. Was she ready to unravel the knots of her pain? As she took a tentative step towards the door, a shocking realization gripped her. A shadow darted behind her, skittering just out of her sight. "Oh no," she gasped, her heart plunging. "What else is lurking in the darkness?" She spun, eyes wide, searching desperately for the unseen presence that seemed to follow her every move. What new horrors awaited her behind that door? And could they pierce the veil of shadows that had enveloped her life for so long? The shadows flickered at the edge of her vision, taunting her, mocking her uncertainty. Clara's heart raced. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, yet the pull toward the chapel felt undeniable, like a lighthouse flickering through stormy seas. "Face it, Clara." The figure's voice echoed, firm yet laced with compassion. "What are you so afraid of?" She glanced back at the chapel door, her pulse quickening. Another shadow slithered past her, dark and serpentine, sending a chill spiraling through her. It curled around her legs, whispering doubts. "You don't belong here." Clara shook her head, frustration bubbling forth. "I need to know. I need to know what's inside." "Then step inside. You've come this far," the figure urged, gesturing toward the chapel. "What awaits you could change everything." With a firming breath, Clara turned back to the door. The weight of the wood felt heavy under her palm, the cool surface grounding her. A gentle push opened the door, a creak echoing like a sigh through the stillness. The interior stretched before her, bathed in an eerie glow that contextualized fading memories. Rows of empty pews lined the space, each one a silent witness to the life she had left behind. Torn pictures of happier days hung like ghosts from the rafters, and the air crackled with tension. As Clara stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind her, trapping her in a world stitched together with both love and despair. Dust motes danced like lost souls in the shafts of light, and a slight hum resonated beneath her feet, a heartbeat of the chapel itself. "Welcome back," the figure whispered from the shadows, merging with the undulating darkness. "What will you uncover tonight?" She hesitated, scanning her surroundings. Shadows neared, darting like quicksilver, while echoes of laughter turned to whispers of fear. The ambience twisted, swirling ominously. The window panes rattled, letting in glimpses of the storm raging outside. A storm that mirrored the tempest inside her. Clara stepped deeper into the chapel, drawn to the altar draped in tattered cloth. With every footfall, memories pressed against her mind: her mother's gentle laughter, her father's disappointment. Both phantoms hovered in the air as if waiting for her to acknowledge them. "Stop running!" came a voice from nowhere and everywhere, resonating in her core. It was her own voice, yet tinged with unfamiliar urgency. "Why do I hear you?" she mouthed, backing away from the altar, dread coiling in her stomach. "Because it's time to confront the truth," the voice echoed again, shaking the foundation of her very being. "Your truth. The truth you've hidden for so long." Clara turned toward the figure, realization dawning. "This place, it's alive with my past." The shadows began to twist into shapes that resembled familiar faces, sad smiles and aching eyes piercing through her veneer of denial. "I can't face this," she whimpered, her chest tightening. "I can't." "You already have, Clara. Look within. Those you fear to confront have only one thing to tell you: you were never alone." Understanding hit her with brutal clarity. There was a lesson buried beneath the memories, a truth layered beneath her regrets. Yet, within that realization, another shadow flitted by, this one foreboding, darker than the rest. The tension surged, and Clara felt the room shift, the ground beneath her trembling as if responding to her fear. No longer could she dismiss the shadows that danced around her. They were fragments of her life, moments that demanded acknowledgement. But before she could gather her thoughts, a cold hand clasped her shoulder from behind. Deep down, she knew that this shadow was different. It pulsed with a darkness tethered to her very essence. Clara, it whispered, a foreboding tone echoing her name. Are you ready to pay the price for your past? The hairs on the back of her neck rose. What do you want from me? She gasped, panic washing over her. Everything, it hissed. Her heart sank. Did she have the courage to reveal her darkest secrets and face whatever awaited her? With one final breath, she clasped her hands, steadying her trembling resolve. The battle within her raged as the figure lingered, lurking nearby, waiting for her choice. What lay beyond would test her sanity, unravel her heart could she withstand the horror of her own truth. But it was then she heard a familiar whisper, another echo rising from the depths. A voice of someone she'd never expected to hear again. Clara. The voice hung in the air, lingering like a spell. Clara's breath hitched. She recognized it, yet couldn't place it. Familiar. Comforting. And yet, frightening. A paradox swirling at her feet. Who is there? She demanded, her voice cracking with desperation. The shadows shifted, pulsating around her as if anticipating her next move, ready to engulf her in their darkness. Clara, the voice repeated, softer this time, yet still echoing with the weight of a past she wished to forget. It's time to remember. The figure that loomed behind her transformed as Clara turned. It was a silhouette contorted with impossible angles, yet in the depths of the darkness, she caught a glimpse of features she once cherished. Her fingertips tingled, and every instinct screamed at her to scream back, to cry out her fear and anguish. Stop! She shouted, stumbling back, her feet shuffling against the cold floor, but the shadows only pressed closer, as though her voice freed them to dance. You can't just keep haunting me. An unsettling silence followed, and then the gentle laughter of a child filled the void, echoing through the blue-tinted light. Clara's heart raced. There was innocence woven into that sound, a reminder of brighter days obscured by painful memories. Why are you doing this? Clara whispered, relentless emotion crashing over her. Because you need to remember who you truly are, the figure responded firmly, hovering closer, their breath brushing against her cheek. You've silenced them for too long. The chapel throbbed with her past, a rhythm that synced with her heartbeat, pulsating like a drum. It tugged at her, urging her to dive deeper into the shadows and unearth everything she had buried. Bring her back. She cried, overwhelmed. If you're here, then, let me see her. Let me know she is safe. The laughter faded, replaced with a pinching silence that scratched at the edges of her mind. Suddenly, the altar before her exploded with light, illuminating the stagnant air thick with dust. Clara squinted, reaching toward the brightness, heart in her throat. As her vision adjusted, a figure materialized atop the altar, a girl, no older than Clara had been in that last moment of her childhood. The apparition bore a striking resemblance to her, with wild curls and bright eyes that glittered with unspent joy. Sister. Clara gasped, realization bursting through the fear. Grace? Yes, Clara. The girl's voice was like glass chimes, haunting yet beautiful. You left me. You never looked back. No. I tried to find you. Clara pleaded, her heart hammering against her ribs. I searched everywhere. Looking for something other than me. Grace's eyes shimmered with sorrow. I was never lost to you. The shadows shifted uneasily, the foreboding presence creeping back towards Clara. You have to let this go. Clara yelled, desperate for the truth to free them both. Please, Grace. Help me. Tell me what I need to do. Waves of darkness flared around them, and Clara realized that the hand on her shoulder had tightened, almost painfully. The chilling whisper returned, each word striking like sharp needles, taunting her deeper. Are you ready to face the truth, Clara? Are you ready to confront the guilt that has chained you? Panic washed through her, violent and raw. I can't lose her again. Please. Grasping the edges of the altar, she looked up at Grace, wide-eyed, longing for reassurance that the shadows would not take her sister once more. But the dark figure drew closer, its voice rumbling like thunder, drowning out all else. It's not about losing, Clara. It's about reclaiming. Embrace your fears and discover the meaning of your past. Only then will you be set free. With the pulsating energy of the chapel spiraling around them, Clara felt the weight of a lifetime pressing down, suffocating yet demanding release. She wanted to scream, to fight back, to tear the shadows apart, but another voice emerged, Grace's softer whisper cutting through the chaos. Clara, remember. I'm here with you. Time froze. Everything hung in balance as Clara faced the shadows, the truth distorted. And twisted like raw steel, could she stand firm and confront her past, or would darkness consume her completely? And just then, the silhouette of her sister flickered as the chapel's lights dimmed, a distant echo of laughter fading into silence. Clara's heart pounded harder than ever. Clara, the threat of darkness loomed large. Would she be brave enough to take the first step? The whispers that filled the chapel thickened, wrapping around Clara like a noose. Time felt elastic, stretching in agonizing slow motion as she glimpsed the trembling figure of Grace, disappearing back into the void. An overwhelming sense of dread clawed at her throat, refusing to let go. Wait! Don't go! Clara shouted, but the sound echoed back, mocking her. The shadows leaped forward, eager to reclaim what she was frantically trying to hold on to. She took a step toward the altar, desperation igniting every nerve in her body. Clara, the raspy voice continued, heavy, relentless, burying itself deeper into her mind. Face it. Face her. With a surge of bravery and fear she closed her eyes, recalling the last vivid memories with Grace, laughter in the sun, secrets shared beneath heavy covers, the binding bond of sisterhood. Breath hitching, a single tear slid down her cheek, heavy with regret, the air changed. The shadows scraped against the walls, transforming into twisted whispers of memories long forgotten. Clara's heart hammered against her ribcage as she forced herself to look up at the altar. The glowing specter of Grace shimmered there, flickering like a candle caught in the wind. Why did you leave me? Grace asked, her voice now a haunting melody. It danced through Clara's soul, ripping apart the fabric of her carefully constructed defenses. I came back. I swear I did. Clara's voice broke, trembling with anguish. But there was nothing, no trace. I thought she swallowed the lump in her throat, fear morphing into determination. I thought I wouldn't find you. Not in the way you hoped, Grace whispered, soft yet sharp, like the edge of a blade. Tell me how. Begged Clara. Tell me what I need to do. What has been buried can only rise through acceptance. You've avoided the truth for too long, Grace urged. The shadows quivered restlessly around them, watching and waiting. A sense of shift coursed through Clara, strong but terrifying. I'm ready to remember everything. The words felt foreign on her tongue, terrifying as they twisted into the air. As she spoke, the walls of the chapel felt like they were closing in. The shadows pulsed, shifting, merging into grotesque shapes as if responding to Clara's admission. She could almost hear them taunting her. Embrace us, Clara. Let the truth spill. Grace's ghost hovered closer, a faint smile softening her features. Do not fear me. Fear what you've created in your mind. The altar exploded with colors, blinding radiance filling the spaces where darkness had previously dwelled. Clara shielded her eyes, feeling the warmth penetrate deep into her core, thawing out memories long frozen in time. Images began to flood back, the danger, the fear, the accident that took Grace away from her grasp. No. She cried, her heart pounding. No. I can't relive that moment. But the light pressed on, seeping into her thoughts cruelly. It forced her to recall that fateful day racing through the woods, laughter echoed through the trees, and then the screech of brakes, the scream that shattered their world. Grace! Clara choked, suddenly aware that she was collapsing. She sunk to her knees in the warmth, surrounded by spiraling light and shadow. I couldn't save you. The admission tore through her, raw and agonizing that a sudden thrum of power surged through her veins, igniting an unfamiliar flame of courage. "But I'm not leaving you again." It erupted from within her, louder than any shadow, louder than the haunting silence of their separation. "Then reclaim me." Grace's voice rang out, a gentle yet fierce plea. "Rediscover me in the light of truth." Just as the shadows lunged forward, the ground beneath Clara vibrated, splitting open with a fierce crack, dark tendrils slithering toward her. Clara gasped, her heart racing as she stared into the abyss. A choice loomed before her, etched into the very fabric of her existence. Would she dive into the unknown, or would she be swallowed by despair? With the darkness looming and grace shimmering above, Clara felt a chance for redemption. As she teetered between light and shadow, she had to decide quickly, would she step forward and plunge into the depths, or would she flee from the haunting shadows once more? The chasm beneath Clara widened, a deep dark maw that whispered promises of freedom and fear. The light from Grace flickered, urging her on, shimmering like a beacon in the tumult of chaos. Clara's heart raced, but a part of her wanted to flee. "Clara! You must decide." Grace's voice was a call to arms, fierce yet heart-wrenching. Taking a deep breath, Clara felt the warmth of the light seep into her bones. Memories continued to swirl, courage and regret mingling like oil and water. Here, confronted by an abyss born from anguish, she realized, facing it head-on could banish the horrors, but turning back would allow the shadows to consume her entirely. "There's always terror in the unknown," Clara whispered to herself. "But I cannot live in fear any longer." With renewed resolve, she stepped forward, bracing herself as the darkness surged toward her. The ground rumbled violently, sending shockwaves spiraling through her body, but she held her ground. As she plunged into the pitch-black void below, the sensation was surreal, a mixture of falling and floating all at once. The darkness wrapped around her, squeezing tightly, yet the light of grace remained just ahead, illuminating the obscurity. Clara's heart clamored as shadows attempted to ensnare her, whispering regrets and failures she had long buried. She squeezed her eyes shut, focusing on Grace's gentle luring. "Remember, you are not alone." Grace's encouragement came through like a lifeline. Images flooded back, days spent together, joy and laughter, sinister shadows creeping in. And just as despair threatened to overwhelm her, she focused on the radiant light. She thought of their shared childhood dreams, the secrets that sealed their bond. Suddenly, Clara landed on solid ground, not so much of a landing as a desperate pull through the mist. She stumbled forward, catching her breath amidst the swirling fog. What lay ahead was no longer the chapel but an ethereal expanse, a landscape of memories painted in vivid colors. Clara watched as shadows intertwined with laughter, blending darkness with light. Faces materialized and warped, the sweet essence of grace entwined with tinges of sorrow. Grace's voice echoed, soft but filled with urgency. "You're in the liminal space between realms. Here, your acceptance is key." Clara steadied herself, transfixed by the otherworldly sight. "What do you mean?" "Acceptance." A figure took shape, half draped in shadow, half washed in light. It was the embodiment of her guilt and grief, an amalgamation of haunting memories. Clara trembled, realizing what she had to confront. "Face it," Grace urged once more. "You must accept what happened to me, and let go of the blame." As the figure loomed closer, Clara's heart thundered. She felt every inch of despair clawing at her, but she breathed deeply, grounding herself. "I didn't protect you. I should have saved you." "No." The figure howled, turning into an unimaginable swirl of darkness. "You are not responsible for fate." "No." Clara's voice rose above the chaos, a battle cry against the void. "I did everything I could, but it wasn't enough. I couldn't save you." Acceptance flooded through her like light seeping through a cracked door. As she faced the swirling figure, the sentiment of power surged within. "I was not in control." With that recognition, the shadows recoiled, and the swirling mass started to dissipate in a magnificent explosion of light and color. The edges of her grief began to blur, transforming into vivid reminders of joy, warmth, and love. Clara. Embrace it. Embrace me. Grace's voice tugged at her heart, linking their essence in an irrefutable connection. Clara watched as shadows slowly surrendered, and hope flickered like a flame as light blanketed her surroundings, but just as Clara felt the chains of guilt loosening, a dark shape emerged once more menacing, more defined. An echoing laughter filled the space, a sinister reminder, not everything is as it seems. The ground trembled beneath her feet, a violent shudder as Clara realized the battle was far from over. A nefarious force loomed, eager to reclaim its hold. What now? She whispered, dread returning like an unwanted visitor. With darkness creeping back into the corners of her newfound light, Clara braced herself for what lay ahead. Would she stand against the encroaching reminders of despair, or would the shadows claim her once more? Clara stood frozen, the flickering light around her dimmed as a chilling laughter reverberated through the air, sending shivers racing down her spine. The ground shook violently, splintering her moment of newfound hope. The shadows crept closer, dark fingers reaching out, pulling at her resolve. Fight it, Clara. Don't let it in. Grace's voice urged, sharp and insistent, like a rallying cry echoing through the tumult. Clara's heart hammered against her ribcage, the old pain flaring up. She felt every regret and sorrow clawing at her throat. The dark figure solidified, its outline a twisted parody of the peace she had only just started to grasp. Features of those she had lost merged with her own fears, faces distorted and dripping in despair. Clara's breath quickened, panic tightening like a vice around her chest. You think you can escape? The figure sneered, its voice laced with a cold, cruel bite. All you've done is mask the pain. It's still here, Clara. You can't run from what you are. No. She shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. I'm not that person anymore. I can change. The memories threatened to overwhelm her, overwhelming waves pulling her under. She fought against them. With each heartbeat, she could feel the light within her growing, sparking against the dark. The shadows hissed, retreating as if stung by her conviction. Change. They jeered, swirling around like a tempest. You can't erase the past. It shapes you. You will always be haunted. Clara clenched her jaw, refusing to let their words sink in. She forced herself to remember her laughter with Grace, their long talks buried beneath years of heartache. I have Grace. Clara shouted back fiercely. She yes with me. In that very moment, a blinding glow erupted from within her chest, pushing against the suffocating darkness. The light surged, illuminating the chaos in every corner, revealing fragments of moments, laughter shared on rainy days, secret dreams whispered under starlit skies, the embrace of companionship stronger than any shadow. Embrace it. Embrace all of it. Grace's words soared like a song, lifting Clara above the din of despair. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth knit together the frayed edges of her soul. I accept my past. She declared, her voice booming, resolute. I accept my pain, but it does not define me. I will not be trapped anymore. The shadows howled, a cacophony of fading wails as Clara's light pushed them back further. Yet, with every inch they lost, the figure grew more agitated, morphing and twisting into something far darker and more sinister. It loomed over her, more threatening than before, its presence suffocating. You think you can stand against me? I am your truth. I will always be a part of you. No, you 1T. You're not the truth, you're a lie. A twisted creation of fear. Clara shouted, her own voice steadying her. Suddenly, the figure lunged at her, a fury of darkness intent on dragging her back into chaos. Clara braced herself, paralyzed for a heartbeat as dread flooded her senses. Would she stand firm against the shadows that had festered in her heart for so long, or would they drag her back beneath the weight of despair? Clara's breath hitched, the darkness engulfing her, swirling and seeping in around her feet. It was suffocating, relentless. Grace! She screamed, reaching out, and just as the shadows were about to claim her, the world brightened, bathing her in an incredible light that whipped around her like a protective cocoon. Clara shut her eyes, feeling warmth spread through her like wildfire. It was comforting, powerful, a suggestion of hope igniting deep within. Clara, trust the light. Grace's voice rang out like a melody, unwavering and strong, but in that moment of flickering hope, a heartbeat of uncertainty loomed. Clara's eyes shot open, wide with the dawning realization of the battle ahead. Time hung in the balance, and the dark force was not finished yet. With courage threading through her heart, she prepared for the next encounter. What darkness awaited her, and could she withstand its sinister grasp? The shadows folded like a dark curtain as Clara steadied herself, feeling the burning light within her intensify. It was more than just a memory or an echo, it was a lifeline. The familiar laughter of Grace intertwined with her heart, guiding her through the tempest. Clara took a deep breath, focusing on the warmth radiating from within, letting it wash away the cold terror that had haunted her for so long. I won't let you consume me. She shouted, her voice cutting through the swirling darkness. The malevolent figure writhed, its shape shifting ominously, flaring with rage. Clara felt the tightening grip of her past, echoes of guilt tugged at her, but she pushed them back firmly. You do not own me. I'm more than my regrets. The entity shrieked, a cacophony of lost voices shrilling in protest. You will always be defined by your darkness. Clara gritted her teeth, her heart pounding like a war drum. I define my own truth, and I choose to embrace both my light and my darkness. You are not my truth, only a shadow of my past. The winds of turmoil whipped harder, the very ground beneath her vibrating with tension, shaking as if the earth itself were choosing sides. But as Clara rooted herself more firmly, a golden light flared brighter within her. Embrace it, Grace's soft voice fluttered like a gentle breeze, wrapping around her heart as she summoned memories of joy and connection. With a roar of newfound strength, Clara raised her hands, pages of her past swirling around her like a storm. I accept the pain, I accept the love, and I forgive myself. You can no longer control me. The darkness shuddered, a pulse of uncertainty flickering through its form. Clara pushed against the shadows, merging pain with empowerment, allowing memories to seep through the cracks, the laughter shared with Grace, the tender warmth of their sisterhood illuminating the suffocating dark. The shadows recoiled, sensing their grip slipping, yet the dark figure pressed forward, thriving on the chaos of Clara's heart. You think you can hide from me? It hissed, morphing faster, but Clara wasn't about to back down. No, I won't hide. Clara's voice resounded through the chaos, firm and unyielding. I'll face whatever you throw at me. You are not my master. In that moment, the dark figure lunged, attempting to engulf her in its shrouded malignancy, but Clara braced herself, focusing deeply on the warmth that throbbed within her. It surged forward, roaring with the fury of a tempest, a tide of shadows ready to break her resolve, but Clara's heart pulsed with light, bathing her in warmth as if the sun had broken free from a hidden horizon. Be gone! She cried out, unleashing a wave of light that cascaded outward, flooding the shadows with brilliance. As the light enveloped her, the echoes of her past shimmered and swirled, bursting forth like a bloom in spring. The laughter, the love, the very memories of Grace merged and soared within the fight against darkness, pushing it further away. You don't own me, Clara declared, her spirit unyielding. You are a product of fear and grief, but I choose to rise. The dark figure screamed as the light surrounded it, illuminating every corner it occupied. The shadows danced and flickered, struggle ceasing as Clara's unwavering force pressed it back until it shattered into a million fragments, each bit releasing the lost whispers that had tormented her. The chapel faded around her as the fragmented shadows melted away, and floating into the air they transformed into soft, drifting whispers. We release you, they murmured, merging with the light as Clara's heart soared. The world around her transitioned slowly, hues of dawn spilling across the horizon, painting her surroundings with warmth. The air buzzed with new possibilities, and Clara felt lighter than ever, unshackled, unfettered from the chains that had bound her for so long. Grace appeared before her, ethereal in the glow of morning light. "You did it, Clara. You reclaimed yourself." Clara smiled through tears, overwhelmed with gratitude. "I never could have without you." Grace beamed and reached out, wrapping Clara in an embrace that felt like a burst of sun after a long winter. "I was never lost to you, you needed to find your way back to yourself. We're forever entwined." With that, the world brightened, the shadows retreating fully, leaving only warmth and love in their wake. Clara stood tall, breathing in the fresh air, truly alive for the first time, ready to step into her new life, and as she took that first step forward, she knew the journey was just beginning. She could walk forward with acceptance, without the haunting fears of the past. Together, Clara and Grace walked out of the chapel, into the dawn of a new day, but before she stepped into the light completely, Clara turned back, one last look at the chapel that had borne her shadows. "Goodbye," she whispered, releasing the final weight. The echoes of the past faded into the wind, finally at rest. Now, for you reading this, let this story be your beacon of light. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that can guide you through your own shadows. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. We've got to spread this powerful message far and wide. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about Clara's journey. Your insights matter, and most importantly, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us shine this light on the world together. Don't wait even one more second to share. Your support makes all the difference, and together, we can face our shadows and ignite the light.